everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for coming to my channel. I want to talk about triggers today. This is a big topic, especially for people with spasmodic dysphonia, because our vagus nerve is directly tied to our voice production, which is also tied to our emotional state. So when we are in an emotional state that is not optimal, when we are feeling fearful, when we are feeling angry, when we are feeling frustrated, that can all have a direct impact immediately on our ability to make our voice sound its best. In the long run, there's more things to it than just that. But that is one immediate thing that we can focus on and learn to manage better, so that at least we are not further debilitating ourselves in the moment. If we're having some sort of a communication interruption between our brain and our voice, then at least we are not adding fuel to the fire by then getting into fight or flight so bad that our vagus nerve is all kinds of confused and sending weird mixed signals and that sort of thing. I hope that we can start making some progress in this category of triggers, because usually our emotional state on any given day is riding between our high ceiling, which we're not used to feeling better than that. We sort of keep ourselves in this box. And our lowest point, which we're kind of comfortable with, which is our basement. So all day long, we are traveling this little roller coaster ride. And so what often sets us off to go down to the bottom emotionally is what I would call a trigger. A trigger is simply a stimulus of some sort. It can be something very simple, something like a thought. It can be something that someone else says. It can be they looked at you funny. It can be that you're having a memory flashback into something that is not pleasant. It can be the fact, I would guarantee that this is often the case, you hear your voice coming out and it doesn't sound the way you want it to sound, or you're anticipating having to speak and not trusting that your voice will be there fully, and then you spiral. You go through this whole mental thing where you're starting to beat yourself up and give yourself extra stress and say all of these nasty things to yourself as a result. We want to break that cycle, because we are now healing warriors. If you're in this group, I hope that you are starting to learn some of the tools that I use to heal my voice. And I hope that you have started to alter the way you think about yourself and think about your condition. Our condition is here just letting us know something is awry. It's letting us know it's a communication. Our spasmodic dysphonia is our body's way of telling us that something needs to change. Something needs to heal. And so it's our job to listen to that as feedback. It's simply feedback from our body saying something, there's a system that's not quite working right. And that's the communication from your brain to your voice. There's nothing shameful about it. It doesn't mean you're damaged or broken or less than. It simply means that there's a problem in the system and it needs a repair. So if we can start looking at our condition as such, instead of making it mean something terrible about us, something that makes us less than or makes us unworthy or somehow less competent in our job or less lovable in some ways, I will always remind you that you are lovable no matter what. You are worthy of love and you don't have to do anything to earn it. You're a beautiful creation of God just the way you are. And now this simple communication gap that's happening between the voice and the brain is something we're working on healing. So we can start thinking of our condition more in a temporary way of thinking about it instead of as a permanent way our lives are going to be into perpetuity. That's not true. If you follow the things that I'm telling you to do, you will wake up one day and have a voice that is strong like mine. So it's important just to start trusting that possibility and being open to it and excited about it, having hope for the first time. I hope that you guys have finally found some sort of optimism about this being healed when no one else will tell you that. That is my mission, to let you know this is not a life sentence. This is simply a communication from your body telling you that there are some toxins, that there are some viruses, and that there's some PTSD and emotional trauma that needs some attention and some love and some tweaking in your mind. When we receive stimulus that upsets us, when something sets us off, the best thing that we can do is snap ourselves out of it immediately by changing our state. That means simply getting up from where you are, walking in a different room, shaking your body out, doing some exercise of some sort, do a dance, make a funny face in the mirror, step outside, watch the birds for a second, whatever. When you start feeling that triggery negative emotion, the unworthiness feeling, the shame, the anger, the feelings of hopelessness, it's our job to begin taking control. We have been living in default with our primordial brain, which is our survival brain, driving the bus and calling the shots and generating the thoughts. And we're starting to take back our power from that primordial brain. We are not going to live in fight or flight and fear all of our lives. I know some of us have experienced some traumatic things, and I understand the toll that it takes on you. Believe me. I would dare say that every single person in here has experienced either a major event, or just prolonged little events, prolonged stress. They both can do the same damage. And so what we need to do is start recognizing it wasn't the event that happened that is so damaging, because it's not happening anymore. It's in the past. It's not happening to us right now. The thing that is the most damaging is that we make it mean something about ourselves. We are making whatever past event happened, we're making it mean that we somehow are less than, or unworthy, or deserve to be punished. I don't know. Our brains find weird ways to rationalize this stuff. And so what we have to do is catch those thought patterns before we let them spiral us. So when we start getting triggered, something's like, I call them crunchy feelings. When you feel those feelings of crunchy, either you're just feeling your blood pressure kind of rise, you're feeling your throat tighten up, you're feeling your brain almost like heat up. Just snap yourself out by at least breaking the pattern in that moment. This is called a pattern interrupt. And it doesn't matter what it is, and you might have certain pattern interrupts that work better for you than others. We all have our go-tos, something that we like to go to. Personally, I love to dance around and act like a silly person. And so I will often do it just to crack myself up, just like because I'm ridiculous. And I know that, but guess what? It also just snaps me out of it and stops the chain of this logical brain that is listening to the survival instinct and telling me terrible things about myself, or telling me that I need to be fearful or on alert. Because I'm fine. I'm in my own home. There's nothing happening to me right now. I don't care if someone's ignored your social media post. I don't care if, and you shouldn't either. This is the point. I'm trying to get you to the point where these things are going to become less consequential to you, and start being more conscious of how you're feeling on any given day instead of what everybody else is thinking or feeling. Because we often give our power away to other people. As people pleasers, we are devastated when someone around us is upset with us, or just even upset in general. We feel like we're walking on eggshells. And what we need to do is start being okay with them being in a bad mood, or being okay with them not loving our choices right now. Because I tell you what, as you start making more boundaries for yourself, you start making more of a line in the sand of what you're doing for yourself. You're setting the stage for your protocols and what your day is going to look like. Other people might have like a little problem with it. It's inconvenient for them because you're not behaving and doing the things that for them that you used to do all the time. So now you're being more proactive. And so it's important to recognize that, this is part of the process. It's normal and it's fine and it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Just, one of my favorite things I love to just say to myself over and over again is, what if it all works out? Whatever it is that your brain wants to start spiraling on, if it's, something that you're worried about in the future, just what if it all works out? And the same thing applies to your healing journey. What if everything I'm saying is correct? You follow through and you get the result. What if it all works out? That would be incredible. So these are just little ways that we can begin to take control every moment of the day, because it's a moment by moment thing. We're not looking at this, one and done. I'm going to change my mindset here and then all across the board I'm fixed and everything's fine. Sadly, we have to fix it one thought at a time, one trigger at a time. Once we have snapped ourselves out of that triggering moment and we've stepped away for a moment, hopefully our emotional state is a little more neutral. Neutral is the new awesome. I don't expect you to be on a high and yay, everything's correct and great and rosy. That might be too big of a leap for you right now if you've been in kind of a low vibe, energetic state emotionally. Sometimes just getting into neutral of everything's okay. There's nothing good, nothing bad. It's sort of neutral. It just sort of is what it is. That actually is an upgrade for your adrenal glands, for your emotional state, for your energetic state. What you guys need to do is begin elevating all of those things so that your, that basement and ceiling that I was talking about before, they're getting up a little higher. Pretty soon, your basement will be where your old ceiling is, and then your ceiling is going to be way up here. So we're going to give ourselves permission to go into the unknown with that. Learning how to let yourself feel safe in the unknown is a big step forward, because often part of our spasmodic dysphonia is this deep-seated feeling of danger and lack of safety. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our own voice. We don't trust other people to be kind and understanding and, sympathetic towards our situation. We sort of lose trust in ourselves and humanity, in God and the universe. But it's part of our healing. We're going to start taking those things back. And we're going to learn to trust ourselves. We're going to learn to trust that no matter whatever but everybody else is reacting to us with energetically, we're okay. And it doesn't matter. We can still be okay if they're not okay. We are going to learn to decouple ourselves from our entanglements that we have with all sorts of other people. I promise you, you are giving your power away on a daily basis, emotionally and energetically, so that you're staying on that roller coaster ride and you're making it very easy to get tipped and start the ride down. So we have to start putting some guardrails on. And the way we do that is that when we start to feel ourselves go, we stop it. We stop the process. So once we have calmed down and kind of gotten a hold of ourselves and changed our state, then we can start examining why was I getting upset? So it comes down to core beliefs about ourselves, our core identity. Who do we believe ourselves to be? Are we worthy healing warriors? Or are we in these other unworthy personas, things that are not enough, those old wounds that happened to us as children when we were made to feel less than, or we decided that whatever was wrong in our families and the world, and it was our fault. And so we have to start unwinding some of that stuff so that we can take our power back. And when things happen, you just be with ourselves. This is the thing that I've learned for myself, is that I used to vacate my body. When I would get in fight or flight, I would just take a powder and just like, it's almost like I was having an outer body experience. I would, and we do this for safety. Honestly, there is a mechanism that happens where our soul leaves our body when bad things are happening, when there's trauma. It's in order to save the soul from damage. So this is a good thing when actually something terrible is happening. But when we're just replaying it in our minds, or we're having a PTSD reaction, that is not helpful, because we need the energy from our soul to help heal our body and to ground us and to center us so that all of our body can function properly. Without it there, it flounders. So these are all just little things we can do. We need to start examining why was I triggered? What am I thinking about myself? What is the belief that's getting triggered? Am I unworthy? I'm not as good as someone else who can speak clearly. I think that other people are judging me. That's another thing that our primordial brain loves to dangle in front of us, is the fact that we might be cast out of the tribe. On an instinctive level, we are tribal beings, and we have an instinct for wanting to be accepted and wanting to be part of the tribe, because in the back in the caveman days, it was crucial for our survival to be included in the tribe. But that's not the case anymore. We are no longer in that situation where it's life or death if someone gives us a sideways glance. So we have to start retraining our nervous system to be fine with it. If they're going to give us a sideways glance, we let them, and we move on with our day, and we focus on what we want for us. And what do we want? Do we want to have a good day? Do we want to stay high, close to our ceiling all day so that our cells can function properly, so that our body can detox the crap that's in there causing these conditions, can detox them out so the nerve can repair themselves, so our immune system can fight those viruses? We want to be operating near our ceiling as often as possible. That's the rest and digest. We're breathing more deeply. We are digesting our food and getting those nutrients. So it's important to start managing our minds. We are the gatekeepers of our minds and our thoughts, and it's so important for us to guard what comes into our minds as vehemently as we guard what is coming into our mouths as we're eating our food and drinking our drinks. These are just little 1% changes that we're going to start making, and it happens one thought at a time. When you set your intention in the morning before your feet hit the floor, you set your intention for what kind of a day you're going to have. What is your number one goal? Are you working with everything in your being to heal your voice? Is that your number one priority? Remind yourself of that every morning. If that's the case, and not in a stressful way, not in a, oh my gosh, I've got to do it all today, because it'll happen in divine timing. It won't happen by any sort of thing that you're emotionally forcing. It's going to happen as you're allowing it to happen, and you're in the flow, and you're getting out of that forcing energy and into the allowing energy. Is this making sense to you guys? Does this resonate with you? Are you noticing when you're triggered? Can you check in with yourself all day long, every hour or so? Just say, how am I feeling now? Because sometimes we'll get triggered and not be aware that we're triggered, and then suddenly we're just in a low energetic state, and we're just kind of getting through the day but not really enjoying it, or we're feeling a little just some crunchy feelings in there without really realizing that they're occurring. Doing those check-ins on a regular basis is going to help keep an eye on where you are. And being mindful of where you are helps you move to where you want to go. So, again, it's just one trigger at a time. And often, we might have relationships in our lives that are difficult. And here comes my cat. Our relationships can be trying. And sometimes we have to just learn to take back our power in those relationships. And if the other people are going to be in a bad mood, or the other people are going to be in not happy with us, then we just have to let them. And we have to just direct the focus back on our own healing journey and know that we're going to get there eventually if we keep walking the walk every day in little increments, making a 1% change each day towards the destination we want to go. That is the best way to make a lasting change. So if we can just remind ourselves where we're going and why we want to get there, and then when these other little things happen, I told a story on social media the other day. Someone backed into my car. It was parked on the street, and so my neighbor wasn't paying attention. He backed into the rear door, and I felt my nervous system want to get triggered by that. I felt my nervous system. I wasn't in the car. There wasn't a damage to me or to nobody. No one was hurt. So there was no reason for me to be in that fight or flight. And so I just immediately took myself out of it. I did call the insurance company, but I was just, doing some of my relaxation things as I'm talking to them. I'm just like lightly tapping on my side of my hand and just making sure I was doing some breathing, breathing in for a count of 4, hold it for 4, release for 4, hold it, a box breath. These little things in the moment can help. Another thing you can do is just like do some butterfly tapping, just tapping just below your collarbones, and just remind yourself you're safe and all is well and there's no need to be upset. And then when we can start analyzing, oh yeah, I was starting to think, I did it to myself with that parking thing because I'm the one who moved my car into the street. I was moving some cars around and I started to kind of blame myself. I was like, oh, I should have just immediately moved my car back in the driveway. And I started to go down that path and I was like, nope, not doing it. It is what it is. It happened. It was an accident and the insurance is going to take care of it and it's going to be fine. And I just went about my day. I had to go run some errands. So I was just like, I was in the car playing some music, and I like to dance, and people, I'm sure, think I look weird, but I do not care. I sing, I dance, I do all sorts of stuff in the car, and I do live videos in the car. So whatever, I'm trying to detach myself more and more from what others think of me, and worrying about that because that was a big consumer of my energy in the past. And as I am focusing my energy more on me and where I want to go and what life I want to create, I recognize that sometimes I'm not for everybody. And you might be listening to this now and this is not resonating with you, and that's okay. I know that if it does resonate with you and you're feeling compelled to do some of the things that I'm talking about, you will be better off for it. So even if I just help one person, then my job is worth it. And I noticed a couple of people have joined recently that have other dystonia and other things going on health-wise. And I'm so glad that they thought to join this group because it is all related. It's all basically the same causes, root causes. And so I'm so happy that they are going to be able to get this information if you're one of them. Utilizing this information and using it to heal any symptom in your body really could work. So hopefully you guys are starting to implement some of these things. Go to the guide section at the top of this group. I have a whole library of these live videos that I've done over time, and they're there, and you can just go binge watch them and just kind of catch different subjects. There's some on celery juice and why you need to cleanse to heal, or how to prep your body for cleansing, or how to combat PTSD and anxiety. and, you know, just a multitude of subjects that I think would be very helpful for you. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Love ya.